care of themselves. There is talent involved, but they do the little things. They ice, they stretch, they sleep, they eat right, communicate with their coach. So it really struck me that people at the top, they just take care and do the little things. And again, I just saw that connection that in our walk, in our faith, that it's about doing the little things every day. All these little things add up. And I ask you guys now to think about that. Is your lifestyle, is your faith a lifestyle, or is it just a one-time thing or a once-a-week thing? Do you do the little things that will help you see results and improve in your faith? And I know it sounds weird to talk about it like that, to see results in faith, but it's true. If we are disciplined in our faith, we will experience the fruit of that. And so in the Christian faith, we talk about it as spiritual disciplines, similar to how athletes do icing and just all the little things right. There's things that you can do in your faith. It's such things called prayer and silence, being in solitude, taking a Sabbath. These are all kind of like words that you hear people throw around a lot, but they're called disciplines, and they're things that are help to grow you and grow you closer in your faith. And I've grown in them a lot, and sometimes it's hard to, on your own, just, okay, I'm just going to pray right now. Okay, I don't really feel like it, but I'm going to pray. And but it takes growth, and so something we do on staff is we go away 3 times a year to a retreat, and we just totally unplug from society and focus on our relationship with God. And one thing we do there is we are in silence for almost 12 hours. So as an extrovert, I know the extroverts in the room, I'm like, are you serious right now? This is going to be so hard. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And you're supposed to eat your meals in silence. Silence, not talk to anybody. And that's kind of weird, especially eating meals. You're like, I always felt like, is everyone mad at me right now? What's happening? But the more and more I did it, I just really came to enjoy it, because you don't have to think about what you're going to say. You don't have to think about impressing people with what I'm going to say right now, or it just takes energy. And I just found a lot of freedom in practicing this discipline of silence and just being with myself and my own thoughts. And this was something that not came easy. Over time, I've come to really enjoy it, but it became a discipline. Over time, you see the fruit of that. And so at InterVarsity, we really want to help. That's what we're here for, to help you guys grow in those disciplines and in your faith. And we know that it's not easy, and so that's why myself and all the staff, we're here to give you guys resources. We love talking with people about these disciplines, and we have a whole lot of books, if you guys like books, but we also have, that's why we go to things like Catalina next week on this retreat, because we know the importance it is of getting away and being in community and just practicing these disciplines. So I just, again, see that parallel. Again, as athletes are disciplined in their sport, being disciplined in the day-to-day, the little things. Another person I interviewed told me about how training involves other people, and that when he runs with other people, it helps him. It helps him, keeps him going, and it's much easier. It motivates you, because a lot of people can relate to that, right? When I'm going to go work out myself, okay, maybe I'm going to just keep pushing snooze, and I'll do that later. But when you tell someone else you're going to be there, you most likely end up going, right? This athlete even told me that sometimes he trains with people that are better than him, so that will push him and keep him going. But then there's other days where he trains with people that maybe are not as good as him, and those are on his recovery days, and that they can both benefit from that. And again, I just realized the connection in our faith, that it's all about being around other people, and that's why we're so big on community. We talk about that a lot in InterVarsity, and you'll see it all over Scripture, that we're not meant to be alone in this life and do this life alone and be a lone ranger, but we're meant to do it in community. That's why we talk about the Bible study. That's why we gather here once a week, because we see the importance of being around other believers and people that are trying to grow in their faith, and it keeps you accountable and it spurs you on to keep going. It's so hard to keep going in your faith, so you get around here, like, okay, there's 50 other people or more that are also trying to do it. That encourages you. So again, I see that in my own life when I put myself around people that are a couple steps ahead of me on the journey. And I know a lot of athletes have mentors. I talked to a couple of you who are some people you look up to, whether it's your coaches or just maybe your professional athletes that you want to strive to become. In our own, same thing in our faith, that there should be people that we're looking up to that are maybe a step ahead of us that we can go to and ask them for advice when we're like, you've been here too, how can I go through this, and give me some advice. And so in my own walk, I do that as well, and I have people around me that are maybe a few steps behind me, and they help me remind myself of what it's first like to start walking with the Lord. And so I just keep seeing these parallels, and that's why I think Paul uses this analogy of an athlete, because there's so much that we can learn from them and their discipline and the way they do things. And they just go hand in hand. They're not isolated, that it's only about our physical body, and then our spirituality is a totally separate thing. They actually are, everything about us is intertwined. So I think with athletes, as they work on their discipline and in their sport, it can trickle over into their other areas of their life for the good, or maybe not for the so good, but it all comes down to self-control. And actually another version of this verse uses that word, self-control. It says every athlete exercises self-control in all things. So that word self-control and training are actually interchangeable, that it's an act of being intentional and self-control in the things you do. And it's not something that comes naturally. That's why it's called self-control, right? You have to actually control yourself. It's not just something, a natural effect. But Paul says that this is necessary if we're going to win the prize. So I just want to pause and take a moment and have you guys reflect on that. Where are some areas in your life where you need to practice self-control more? Especially maybe the areas of media intake. I know it's a big one for us in society, but do you watch too many shows and just have too many Netflix binges maybe some days, and on your phone just zoning out over Instagram or Facebook, and just setting some limits for yourself. Nobody's going to come in and do that for you. As an adult, you have to set limits. Like, okay, I'm going to cut myself off after 10 o'clock, or I know that sounds early, but setting self-control, that you're just, next thing you know, it's been hours and you're just looking on the internet. Maybe exercising more self-control in the way you spend your leisure time and your hobbies, if they're becoming too much focus. I know even like working out can become too much, so you just work out way too much that you don't even have time for your family and your friends or relationships, but at the same time, the relationships can become too much. Maybe some self-control and who you're spending your time with. Maybe even self-control in an area of addiction. I think it's a big one for a lot of us, that there's things that you just keep going back to. It can even be food. We can see food as an addiction, or things that you're just addicted to, even sleep and laziness. I know it's a big one for college students who just need to take our naps and all those things, but you can become like, oh, I'm taking a nap like every day. I think I need to have some self-awareness here. Why am I having a nap all the time? Or have some self-control, people. So I just want to challenge you guys to do these examines, because no one's going to come in and ask you yourself, as you're in college now, become an adult. You need to have some self-control and realize things that are doing, are they healthy for me or are they not? And to ask yourself the question, is what I'm doing now going to help me win in this Christian race later? Say that again. Is what I'm doing now going to help me win my Christian race later? So the third point, where Paul talks about the next principle, that in order to keep persevering in this race, he says, run for the right prize in verse 25. He says, they do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize, so I run with purpose in every step. So we've been talking a lot about running, being runners in a race, and being disciplined, but what's it all for? What's this prize that Paul's talking about? We all like to know that, right? What's in it for me? What's at the end goal? What am I going to do this for? What's going to be my outcome? And so Paul talks about this prize that's going to fade away. What are some prizes that we strive for? I think a common one for students is probably obviously your classes. We all want to do well in our classes and get the grades, and be nice to make the honors roll, or for community college students, transfers, that prize. Like, if I transfer, that is going to be the ultimate prize that you just have your eyes on right now. For everybody, hopefully one day to graduate, right? You don't just stay in college forever. There's a goal to graduate, and that's just that prize. You just vision yourself on graduation day, and it's quite an accomplishment. That's maybe your prize right now that you have ahead of you. But I think our culture also gives us some other prizes that tells us that having that house, once you make it, once you get a house, or once you have that awesome car that you've been wanting, or focus on our appearance, once we get to that ideal weight goal, or just how we look, then that'll be the prize. And we can strive for that kind of prize. I think this one's kind of funny, but I think it's true. I think a new prize these days is how many likes you can get on Instagram. Like, that is like a new phenomenon. I did not understand how big a deal it was, but I was looking into it a little bit. You guys probably know this. I need to stay with it, but I guess you can know how to you can get more likes. You can download certain apps, and there's all these people putting tutorials out there on YouTube about how to get more likes, and they go about it like, just download this app, and you have to copy it, and then it's like crazy just to get these likes that people you don't even know, just so people see that I have hundreds and hundreds. People have thousands of likes, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think this is kind of a new phenomenon. Like, oh, I won the prize. Like, makes you feel accomplished. All these likes, and you pride yourself in that. So there might be other prizes. Maybe you don't relate to some of these, but we all have something that we're striving for. I think going back to athletes,